Welcome to the Hall of Fame. We have a great episode coming with Desmond Clark. So you will hear so much about a Bears player that then transition to logistics. But before, as always, we always got to cover what's going on in our industry, which is very volatile right now. Obviously, the U.S., Israel, and Iran war is actually have most of the Strait of Hormuz blocked. There are some ships getting through, a very small amount, but we have some companies like Hapag-Lloyd that came out and said it's adding about $40 to $50 million in costs to their shipping. Obviously, it's an issue. It's also driving the number one cost. What do you say, driver pay or fuel, the number one cost? It's one or the other. Fuel costs is actually rise quite a bit here in the U.S. and most places. So hopefully this war comes to an end soon, and we can get through some of that, and we can move forward. As far as the overall industry, it continues to look soft, not so soft overall, but I know there's a big push. I know Ryder just entered a deal with autonomous trucks, large fleet of autonomous trucks from International. And I know there's also the Teamsters have really a tentative deal with DHL. So I think some of those things are good. But again, I think this war is hindering growth just due to the amount of effects it has on fuel costs. Now, not a political statement either way. I think it's something that I think hopefully will be wrapped up soon. And then we can go back to where we're seeing at some point, for the most part, fuel prior to the war was averaging around $57 a barrel, which is extremely inexpensive for us. So that's really all I have. I just want to get you guys ready. And then you guys are going to hear from Desmond himself. Just a remarkable story of resilience. And also, I love to see when someone achieves that kind of athletic achievement to make the NFL and played for, I'm guessing, 8 to 9 years total, and then transition into our industry, the logistics, which we're going to hit on inland. So with that said, that's your industry update, and welcome to the Hall of Fame podcast. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. We have a great guest today, Desmond Clark, former Bears player who now transitioned to logistics. It's going to be an amazing story. I'm looking forward to it. But first, let's turn it over to Desmond Clark and have him introduce himself. Desmond, take it away, sir.
Hey, what's going on, Ken? Thanks for having me on. My name is Desmond Clark, as you already mentioned. I'm a former Chicago Bear player, 12 years in the NFL. But the reason why I'm here is because of the Hall of Fame, HAUL instead of HALL. So it's a different type of hall. Later in life, I transitioned to the logistics world and started Bear Down Logistics, which is in 4 years of existence. And right now, man, life is good. We're doing a ton of hauling, moving big stuff all over the country. And, that's what I'm up to these days.
All right. Well, great. Well, since our audience is all logistics, but we have a heavy Chicago influence. Let's start a little bit. Tell me a little bit about growing up in Florida, and obviously you're rocking the Wake Forest. I'm a Syracuse. We were competitors back when we weren't in the ACC, but now they're both in the ACC. Tell us a little about Wake Forest and then being drafted into Denver. Walk us through just a quick version of your career, because it's very interesting to see a football player that's now part of our Hall of Fame, which is logistics. So get right ahead, sir.
Yeah, so started all back in Florida, Kathleen High School. I played quarterback. I was an option quarterback back in the day. So I was pretty good at the option quarterback, but when it was time to go to college, option quarterback, they didn't have longevity. So I started to play receiver, and Wake Forest was one of those schools, was one of just a handful of schools that said, hey, we want you as a receiver. So that was one of the main reasons that I went to Wake Forest. And of course, that the coach there was Caldwell, who was an outstanding individual, and he really won me over also. But got to Wake Forest, played 4 years there, ended up leaving as the all-time ACC leading receiver, had a phenomenal career there. And then 1999, I was drafted by the Denver Broncos in the 6th round. Played 3 years in Denver, really year by year by year. I kind of grew into a solid tight end. They brought Shannon Sharp back in 2001. They got rid of Des Clark. So I had to go find somewhere else to play football and spend 1 year in Miami. I call that like my exile year. But then I resurfaced back in Chicago and finished up my career 8 years in Chicago, which was unbelievable.
All right. Well, great. Well, thank you for that background. I think it's interesting. So, what first? Obviously, your company's been around now for 4 years, roughly. So, what drug you? What pushed you towards logistics? I know you do a lot of inspirational speaking. You're a very religious person. I've watched some of your stuff on LinkedIn. Very powerful to help people motivate, not only in this industry, in any industry. So, I want to talk about that too. So, tell me what led you to heavy haul in logistics.
Yeah, first, I just want to say I'm not a very religious person at all. Very spiritual person. Like religion is something that I really don't get into, but spirituality, yes. But what pulled me into logistics is a guy. His name is Brian Rice.
Okay.
He didn't know me. He knew me from playing football. He seen some of the stuff that I was doing on LinkedIn and decided to reach out and say, "Hey, man, like what you do. Have you ever thought about getting into logistics? I could really use someone like you to help push my company." And I was like, and this is like at the summer of 2021, so the pandemic is still going on. I was actually not doing much of anything at that time because speaking at that time, had died off because you couldn't be in front of people. I had decided to leave corporate America, leave the insurance and financial business. So I was really looking for something else to do. And it was like the right time. And so over the next 3 months, I spent a lot of time with Brian researching and trying to understand what logistics was all about. And I grew a liking for it. And I said, you know what? I really think I can put this together and actually do well in it, not working for someone else, but actually building my own business.
Okay.
And so I know I took Brian by surprise when I came back and asked him, hey, I don't know if I want to work with you and build your company. I think I want to build my own company. Would you help me do that? And he said yes. Nice. And he did drayage, and we made an agreement that I wouldn't step into that lane. Going to help me build a company. So that was the beginning of it. In October of 2021, I started the company on paper, and then May of 2022, I started picking up the phone, smiling and doubting, and trying to get my first customers.
Wow, I love that. So when we talked, I think it was last week, you share an interesting story, and you don't mention the customer about your different approach about going out and squeezing palms, talking to people in person versus others. I think that's something that's a loss in today's world of texting and emails. Tell us a little bit about your approach about going out and securing customers or keeping customers, doing that face-to-face, and why you think that's important.
Yeah, because of what you said, everything now is over the phone, is email, is this type of stuff. And if you want to, what's your competitive advantage? And I think all of our competitive advantages is who we are as people, right? Getting to know someone on a different level than just this, and going out and looking them eye to eye, sharing a meal, actually getting to know their family, getting to know who they are. I think that's the way it should be done. So recently, I think I was telling you, I went out to LA, and now I got feedback from that story also.
Okay.
First time that we didn't know it was their first time moving equipment. Yep. And so we were able to actually educate them on a lot of different things in the process that they didn't really, I'm not going to say they didn't know about, but they didn't have a complete understanding of how these things actually get done. Mm-hmm. So he actually called us a couple of weeks ago and said, you know what, man, I was so grateful that you guys took the time to come out to meet me. And I thought it was just a good thing to do. He flew all the way to China to meet his customer.
Nice.
And the people in China was blown away that he would fly all the way out there just to go and meet them, shake hands, say, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm trying to get accomplished. But I want to make sure that what I'm doing is also going to be a win for you also in the way that we're doing it. That's what we did with him. And so he went and replicated it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I can dig that.
Well, I like it. It's paying it forward. And that helps you get deeper and more aligned with the customer. Since we have a lot of people on here that does 53 footers, obviously you mentioned you learn you got your feet wet in Dre. Explain heavy haul logistics to people that may not understand heavy haul logistics, so you understand what lane you're in, just in case it's a need for someone out there.
So it's, how do I want to explain? It's you see the 53 foot drive. Drive van.
Drive van, yeah.
You see the flatbeds.
Mm-hmm.
The heavy haul stuff is stuff that is too heavy to go on those typical trucks and trailers that you see going down the road.
Yep.
Or they're too wide or they're too tall. Mm-hmm. So they call it over-dimensional, all the dimensions of length, weight, height.
Yep.
So, I mean, length, width, height, and weight. So if something is too long for a standard trailer, too wide, too high, way too much, that's heavy haul.
Yep.
So you got to get specialized trailers, RGNs, stretch RGNs, things with not 18 wheels anymore. Now you may be talking about 30 wheels, because now you got something that's 290,000 pounds, and now you need additional axles to spread out that weight. And it takes a whole lot of planning. And I always say, like, a lot of the times we don't do transportation. We do project management.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of pre-planning, the permitting, the route surveys, reaching out to all the municipalities. If it's a certain weight, a certain width, certain height, you may have to have police escorts. And then that's a whole nother layer of planning that you have to put onto it. So there's a lot to do when it comes to heavy haul. But that's one of the reasons that, Ken, I got into it, because there's not a lot of people out there that do it at a very high level like we do.
No, I think it's important. Someone told me a long time ago, when I got into logistics, the more complicated it is, the better it is, because it's something that people need, and they need to partner with someone that knows how to do it properly. Just like you talked about your customer. So tell me about, how are you doing? Are you expecting? I don't want your revenue numbers. I don't want to share anything like that. You're a private company, but how are you looking this year? We've had kind of a freight depression, but you started in the middle of it, and you seem to be doing well. So are you seeing positive growth from the heavy haul business this year?
Absolutely.
All right.
And Ken, I'm not, I like being transparent, because I think if I could be transparent, somebody can take something that I say and use it for fuel for their fire. So year one, we did 300,000. Year two, we did 1.2 million. Year three, we did 1.7 million. Last year, we did 3.8.
Wow.
And this year already, I think by the end of, we've already at the halfway point of revenue in 2 months to where we were all of last year.
Wow. So you guys are growing exponentially.
I'll let you do the math on that and figure that out. I ain't gonna lay it all out for them. They can do some math. But in 2 months, we've already did 50% of the revenue that we did last year. So we're all looking, to be in that 8-figure range by the end of this year. And we're growing. Ken, I hear all the time, oh, well, I think you mentioned it. Well, the industry is not doing well. It's depressed or whatever. I never pay attention to any of that stuff, Ken.
Yes, I like it.
Never pay attention to it. I know that people are moving stuff. They're moving stuff. Mm-hmm. I need to find those people that's moving stuff and persuade them that we are good enough and excellent in what we do, so they trust us enough to say, hey, here's a chance. And if you do well with this, then I'll keep bringing more to you.
I love it. All right. Well, let me wrap it up. I had a couple more questions for you. What inspiration would you give to someone starting out in this business, a new entrepreneur, maybe work for a large corporation, trucking, and go out on his own and start his own company today? What would you say to that person if you could get in front of them? There are a lot of new entrepreneurs that listen to this that are in year one. What would you tell them?
This is going to be different. And I hope it's different, because a lot of the times we say the same things, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, yeah, I heard that before. But here's what I'm going to say, because this is where I'm at. And this is what I found myself having to do year by year by year, is that I had to become a better individual. I had to become a better person, not in a moralistic type of way. I had to learn more. I had to become more. I had to grow. So you're only going to grow as much as you are as a person.
Yeah.
So that self-development, those disciplines, those success habits, as you get better and better and better and learn more success habits and get more discipline at those success habits and things that you learn, you become a better person. And now you expand your capacity. And that's what I really focus on. And not just out here in the world, spiritually also.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can expand your capacity like that, I think that's the reason why from 300 to 1.2 to 1.7 to 3.8 to where we're at now. And I still have a long way to go.
Plus. Yeah. Your run rate, it will be $12 million plus. No, that's amazing. And I love your story. And in closing, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say anything you want to say to our audience. Again, this is 30% Chicago and 5,000 people that are in the logistics, trucking, transportation space. So I'll let you do a closer. Anything you want to say, sir?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. One of our core values is being humbly courageous, right? We don't back down from who we are and what we stand for. I feel like we're the best brokerage out here, bar none. We may not have the size. We may not have as many people as some of these other brokers that specialize in heavy haul, but there is no heavy haul company out here that is going to do a better job than Bear Down Logistics with making sure that we check all the boxes, do everything the right way. Everything that we do is going to be done at a high, excellent 1% standard. That's just who we are. And if that rings true to you, is that something that you can feel in your core, then we may be the right fit. If you just want, the lowest price and not excellence, you just want to get the job done no matter what, don't call us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want to do it right. We want to communicate with you. We want to have a relationship with you. We want to understand your business so we can do it the right way every time. Mm-hmm. That's who we are as Bear Down Logistics. So that's my plug right there. And there's a few Bear Down Logistics out there. Don't get us confused with the Bear Down Logistics that's in Mokina, Illinois. We are a Florida-based company, and our website is www.beardown-logistics.com, not Bear Down Logistics. You got to put a dash in between that Bear Down and logistics. I'm getting confused.
All right, no problem. We'll make sure we link that for people that want to get a hold of Desmond Clark. We'll link that. So Desmond Clark, former Chicago Bear, now a Hall of Fame member of heavy haul logistics. So welcome to the Hall of Fame. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being on.